And we move on to the next one. Wait. Before we do that,
I clapped. We started. No, I'm just kidding.
Too shit. Yeah, go ahead. No, go ahead.
This showbiz stuff.
3, 2, 1.
3, 2, 1. All right, guys. Welcome to the members-only Q&A episode. So we're going through questions just from the VIP members, members of the StrongFit YouTube channel.
Is it gold member?
The gold member.
Gold member.
I think this is for all members, but the gold members, you're our total special place.
Exactly. Yeah.
Should we dive right in?
Bring it on.
All right, we got questions from the members area. Let's get started. I've got some loose ones to get us talking first before Julien starts pulling us into rabbit holes. First thing somebody had asked, and I don't know where the question is, your favorite tattoo artists.
Ooh. My tattoos or in general?
You can do a hybrid version of both.
Right. So, let me take future. There's a guy named Mark, I'm going to butcher his last name, so I won't even try, that I'm going to get a tattoo from in August. In, is it Norway or Denmark? Fuck, I forgot again. Norway?
Awesome.
I think in Norway. I'm pretty sure it's in Norway. I booked it in a year and a half in advance.
That's the one that you've heard about this appointment probably in the beginning of the podcast.
Exactly. Year and a half ago. So he's going to do my arm. So he's going to do a sleeve, and then he's going to go into the chest and everything. So that'll take more than 1 weekend, obviously. Yeah. But he does statues like no one else. So it's like all the statues, especially the Greeks, all
almost
that
like
stuff.
a photorealistic Greek statue.
But you know, with
great use of like
all black and white,
lights,
all black and white. It looks so good. So when I saw him, I was like, because I had an idea, it was Prometheus and Hercules, because you know the symbol of strength saving the symbol of wisdom. So that means wisdom without strength is shackled. So there was an entire thing there. I was like, it's going to be so good. So it's going to be there on my chest. So that dude, I haven't met him yet, but I can't wait. That dude who did this one, right? I went to Barcelona. He's actually Brazilian. I went to Barcelona to do it, and he's one of the best anime tattoo artists I've ever seen. He has a way to do the reds and the stuff. So what was cool with this tattoo is it was all one line. He didn't shade anything. It's all line work.
No shit.
Yeah, so even this part is line work. It took 1 day, he did the whole thing, non-stop. Nice. 6 or 7 hours, non-stop. This part, and when he starts to go, even this, So this, I didn't feel shit, and then the rest I did. But him, when it comes to anime, that dude is so talented. He has the best Dragon Ball tattoo I've ever seen. So, you know, I'm coming back at some point. So I like him a lot. The dude who did the tattoos on my upper back and my calf is a friend out of New Zealand, and he's a Maori guy. And what I loved about him and this tattoo is he's actually one of the few recognized from his tribe into this who technically should be allowed to do what he did, because a lot of this is extremely representative of their culture. So all of that is, to do that, you're almost supposed to ask. You know, for the elders to do stuff like that. So him is that, and he's a very, very spiritual man. So I enjoy working with him a lot. And so what he did is everything on here represents something in my story, where I've been, where I'm going, things like this. And he spent like 15 minutes explaining to me. There's like 12 different stories into this tattoo on my calf. Same thing on my upper back. It's my brother or my daughter, like the whole stuff. It's like all those Polynesian type tattoos tell your history.
Yeah, it's a narrative.
Yeah, and so that was such a cool moment. And here is Jay out of Paris, and she's the one who did my head because she's half Filipina, and so that one was a tribal tattoo.
She is what's her Instagram again? Is it Sampa Gita?
Sampa Gita, yeah. And she's, when it comes to portrait, she's the one that I like the most, because a lot of them are great at doing portrait that look like a picture.
Yeah.
But that's not what I wanted.
Yeah.
What I wanted is someone who puts like something.
Hers almost look not photorealistic, but like supernatural realistic.
But like
there's a glossy nature to it. She does such good stuff with whites.
Technically, yeah, exactly.
And she does such great stuff with whites in the perfect spots.
There's an expression into the eyes, into the person, that I don't find in that perfect picture type tattoo.
Yeah.
to me, it looks a little bit soulless. Her stuff, every time you see a woman there. And so I really like what she does.
And in each of her things, her kind of specialty is the female portrait.
Yeah.
Very much so done in a lot of
Exactly.
what would be the word, tribal or indigenous style, and it's really fucking cool. Her stuff, and you can see there's like an emotion or a fit, something.
Yes, there's
emoted
something that
out of
comes out
everything.
of it. So people have to understand, like, this is how I chose the tattoos.
Yeah.
I didn't choose the tattoos, I chose the artist.
Yeah.
I saw her and I was like, all right, so I email and like, yeah. The guy in August, I email and I say, would you do this? And I love this answer. It was like, this is how I want to do it. You can say, no, I'm just not doing it. But that's up to you. But if I'm doing it, this is how I'm doing it. I was like, you're the artist, go. And so that's the one in August. But then I found him. Here is when I was in New Zealand. It was just happened to talk to the guy, but it was such a cool experience. So that's how tattoos happen.
Yeah. Well, I'll go real quickly on mine. So, this whole side here was done. You ever see how tattoos are done in prison? So, here's this was not in prison, but it was with someone who has done a lot of tattoos in prison. You get bored, do a lot of work on the road, you party and you get some tattoos. I don't know what the fuck to say. But the funny story behind this is here's how you make this. So, he didn't even have a tattoo gun. We're like, oh, fuck it, we'll go grab one. So we go to Walmart, you buy an old cassette player, tape player. Take it apart, take the motor out. The motor and the battery case, that's it, and the wires. Yeah. Put the batteries in there, tape all that together. That motor will spin. So you take a pen, a spring pen, you cut the end off, it's a little plastic tube. Hole in the center of that tube and a hole on the outside so that it spins around, oscillates. And then you can put the spring, you heat up, stretch out, and bend it at 90 degrees. Put it into the little plastic piece, melt it so it's tight. And so that way when the motor turns, you have now an oscillation of vroom, vroom, so that the needle itself will go up and down. And then you put that down the slip of the pen. You got to pop the tip up.
Trusted that?
Of course not. Well, yes, I guess. But I didn't fucking trust anything about the situation. I just did it.
There's always that.
You guys ever just do things that you know are probably wrong and stupid just because?
But yes.
But in my defense, I was young and also didn't care. But here's the deal. That is not an ideal or probably very sanitary setup. The ink itself is essentially soot. Like you burn paper, soot, water. It works. It'll hold up a decent black and gray for 15 years or whatever. But
well, I mean, considering it's impressive.
It's not bad.
Actually, it's very impressive.
Well, it is bad, but I just kind of don't care.
No, it's fairly impressive.
But if you really look at the work, it's scarred up fucking bad. Like it's a gnarly fucking. It's not good.
Oh yeah, right. It destroyed the skin. Right?
Of course. Well, here's what happens too. That needle is a single needle. You don't do shading needles with multi needles. Everything is just.
It's line work.
And it gets dull, which means then you go, hold on, you get more sandpaper. And the fucking
that's not my experience. Man. No, like I'm glad I didn't start.
These other ones were professionally done. This was based on a friend of mine's drawings, and then this was just a principle I like to live by. But these ones are real work. This one is the Tyler used to be a little white trash.
The cat hates you right now. She wants to get it.
I'm keeping this air conditioning to us.
There is one tattoo artist I would kill to have a tattoo from. Sacred Knots. He does Celtic stuff. Oh my God, he looks so good. So I emailed him and back and forth, super nice. He was like, dude, 2 years, fully booked. Sorry. I was like, 2 years, fully booked. How?
Like,
because he's that good.
Would you like to do like a tattoo dinner? Can I
sit in exactly. Can I do an assessment or something? Like, I'm really good at what I do. Sacred Knot, like if I could, that dude is amazing. Yeah. He had head stuff. Oh,
the whole thing.
I mean, I'm supposed to have the head stuff on the right, except the fucking train. Fuck me up. You know when my next appointment is for my head now?
When?
November.
And so tell them that story. We didn't get into that story.
Right. So last Tuesday, I'm supposed to go do the tattoo on the right. I have the picture. It looks awesome. It's Celtic. It's an Irish stick, because that's Irish is my father's side. All that stuff, it looks awesome. I take the train for Lille, which is 2.5 hours. I get to Brussels, I get there on time, and I go down, go up, and the guy's like, where's the train for Lille? He's like, oh, that's the one right there leaving. And I'm like, but I'm on time. So they fucked up on the connection. He left. They fucked up the time. So you could not take the connection.
They sent you a ticket that you were never going to get.
Basically, right. And now I'm like, when's the next one? Oh, in 4 hours. So
appointment.
Here goes my appointment for the tattoo artist. And I'm looking at the guy going like, and with a fucking mask on, like I'm like, say, what do you mean? He's like, but the ticket is like, well, and they didn't want to reimburse me, or you didn't buy it through us, or whatever. So I'm looking at everybody. I don't even care about that. It's just like I'm gonna miss. So I just went to Brussels one morning, just to get my chai latte at the fucking corner stuff, and then went back to Amsterdam and missed my tattoo. And now my next appointment is November 10th. I was not happy on Tuesday.
Yeah, I remember.
Plus that tattoo, I've been waiting. By the way, I've been waiting for 3 months.
Yeah.
Because that guy too takes 3 months to get an appointment with, and he does hand poke.
Eesh.
Hand poke like this.
Not on your head though.
Yeah.
Okay, that's how you were gonna do it?
On
Oh,
my
you're
head.
fucking crazy.
Yeah. No, I didn't feel shit on that one.
Well, I feel like just because it's like worse doesn't mean you have to
At
do
this
it.
stage, whatever. Like fuck it. After this one on my leg for 4 days, whatever. Hand poke on the head like this for like 6 hours.
I'm gonna do that one with nipple clamps on,
Fuck
just
yeah.
to make sure it hurts.
And the gimp has nothing on me. And tack, 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 tack. So I couldn't wait for that one.
Yeah.
And fuck, I'm pissed. So I have to pay him something on top of it. So
Oh yeah, you got to put something to hold.
well, it's not his fault.
Yeah,
It's not his fault.
yeah, and
Like I should have gone the night before, so it's my fault. But
Oh, I do have a quick one here.
bring it on.
Somebody had asked me this too on here. Said Tyler, what's your favorite Deftones album? I'll go real quick on this one. My favorite is the self-titled album because it's awesome. It's my favorite one. The best album is White Pony. That's as far as I'll go with it.
I no idea.
Well, you're not that hip to fucking late 90s to... Well, I guess they
Where was
still
I?
make music.
I was in
Southern California.
Yeah. No, I was in the US. What am I saying?
See?
Yeah.
See? Okay.
98. I was in the US.
I think that's the first album came out, Adrenaline. All right, so we have a question here. Let's get started. This is me speaking for the question, not as a naturally strong woman. The question is, I'm a naturally strong woman. If I'm a strong woman, there's nothing natural about my womanhood.
Right,
I'm a naturally strong woman, and I like anaerobic training sessions. But since I'm focusing on performance for CrossFit, my dream has always been to be elite in some sport. Since I'm 33 years old, it's the only sport I can compete in, and I love it. I have periods of times when I have high anxiety levels, which I understand is related to high lactate and is produced with anaerobic training sessions, which makes sense to me because I'm very bad on endurance. My 1 mile run is approximately 8 minutes. Welcome to my world. You beat me. My 4-minute run, my 400-meter run is 125. PR deadlifts around 300 pounds.
Oh, wait, say that again. My
400 meters, 125, 85 seconds.
125.
Yeah.
For CrossFit, you're gonna have, if you want to be elite, you're gonna have to do better cardiovascular.
And I don't know the measure of the.
But that's
elite
not,
is also a weird scale.
400 meters is not cardiovascular. It's a fast twitch muscle. You're gonna have to develop.
Well, I think these are just numbers. So, and then she gets into
I know,
deadlift
but 400
also.
meters 400 meter run at 125, that's fast twitch muscle.
Yeah.
You need to develop the type 2A fibers a lot more than that if you want to be good at CrossFit.
Yeah.
Like okay. So give me the other numbers.
Deadlift 300 pounds, 295.
That's okay. It's not okay. So we're talking elites as in like local competition. Or,
That's what I don't
because
know.
otherwise 295 elite CrossFitters, no way. You would have to put a good 40 pounds on that deadlift at least.
I see progress I've been working in the last 6 months to include more endurance workouts to my
Yeah.
program. I see progress in endurance, but I'm still gassing out very fast.
Yeah, but that's because the problem is an endurance.
So it says here, I'm wondering that maybe I'm producing lactate past the threshold and cannot oxidize. If that's the case, endurance training still work.
Okay, so let me go. I think you're misunderstanding a little bit where you are as well. So we always end up producing more lactate than we can oxidize. That's the anaerobic threshold. If you push in a training, you're always going to get there. That's kind of the point, right? So there's having not too much lactate, but lactate and a connection with anxiety, definitely. At the seminar, I'm usually at 1.0 millimole, which is actually on the low side, believe it or not, which is kind of strange. I'm on the low side, so that would mean that I'm more toward depression and anxiety, which I would believe.
Probably, yeah.
But look at how much my brain works. So I probably pump lactate nonstop in order just to keep me going.
Yeah.
So that would explain why I need to be strong too. There's an entire rabbit hole there that I find interesting. Anyway, I'm at 1.0 millimole, which is on the low side, right? I have a fight with my daughter. 2 minutes later, after I calm down, I'm at 3.0, right? So you could see that my lactate triple, right, in levels over a moment of stress, right? So that tells you, and so anxiety and lactate are obviously linked. So that means that if I produce too much lactate, not because it's a two-way street, naturally my anxiety is going to go. But it also means that if I stress out, I'm going to produce lactate as a fuel. And so there's a relationship there. So you could work too much anaerobically and probably give yourself kind of panic attacks or always be on the verge of panic attacks. But also if you stress all the time, mentally, from your life choices, right? You're going to bring yourself to high levels of lactate. So you have to understand that maybe it's your training, maybe it's your life choices that can bring you anxiety. I did not have to get that pissed at Yaya.
Yeah.
It was during the seminar, I was tired, first one in 4 months, and she annoyed the fuck out of me. And I'm not the most patient when it comes to her, because when she's like that, I know that it's because she had sugar, and it annoys the living fuck out of me when she has sugar. You've seen why?
Yeah.
Oh, so my patience is, I'm not the most patient man, let's be honest, patient man. But when I see her having sugar and then giving me shit on stuff where she shouldn't, I blow a casket right away. Yeah. So, but that's a life choices. I could have chosen to calm down. I didn't.
Yeah.
I decided to go, full retard as usual.
So at that point, the lactate that was in your system was really kind of the result of your reaction.
My reaction to something I had control over.
Yeah.
Right. So that's an important stuff because people are going to think training anaerobically is the only reason I have anxiety. No, sometimes it's you.
I've seen a lot of runners with a lot of anxiety.
Exactly. Right. So, but there's also a possibility there that they actually need the lactate to be able to run faster. So easiest way to do, fuck up your life and then they'll give you lactate. So for example, if I need lactate to lift heavy, I could get in a fight with my daughter, get the lactate up, that will help me fuel-wise.
Well,
so you could see how that could work.
Well, that's an interesting thing that I think there's a lot of people will do when they lift heavy weights. I know that on a max effort squat, deadlift, anything like that, stone lift, there's nothing calm or peaceful that I'm going to bring into my world before I do that thing.
But
there'll be a moment that if I need something that's a minute or a 2 minute long event or something where I'll be stay calm, don't let the freak out. But sometimes, but when I have to go, if I have to go pick up a 360, 380 pound stone, it is the only thing you can afford is to flash the most horrible, confrontational, aggressive, violent, whatever horrible thing you can have to just go.
Exactly. Captain Kirkowski was saying that he would pick fight with his wife the night before he squatted.
Yeah. And so while that has value in that, it kind of not the wife thing, but I mean like
but it has value in lifting.
It has value in lifting. But the truth is, Christ, I think the same state. That's why a 40-year-old housewife can pick a car up off a baby that's fallen.
Exactly.
Is the elevation of your state?
That's your nervous system. The state still is what matters.
And but that is would be the same woman who could lift a car off a baby in a fucking time of crisis is not going to run a very good mile at that time. I don't think.
Yeah, exactly.
Might run a great 200.
Exactly. At the time she lifts the car off the baby, she could do 20 meters in probably the fastest time
you've ever seen.
But 5 meters after that, she dies of a heart attack.
Yeah.
That's just not how the system is built.
Yeah.
So there is something to be said about having a low cardiovascular system and not being able to oxidize lactate. But, so now let's go back to the question at hand. So you want to be elite in CrossFit. Good. I like it. That's great. 33, you're still young. Val was top 5 at 36 at the CrossFit Games. But 8-minute miles, that's too slow. That means your cardiovascular system is just not good enough, right? So that means that if your cardiovascular system is low, you're not oxidizing the lactate that you produce, but that's not because you produce too much lactate. It's because your cardiovascular is not good enough to oxidize. So you don't want to lower your anaerobic training. You want to just get better at cardio. The better you are...
Don't take fuel out of the tank.
Exactly.
Get better at burning it.
Exactly. Okay. So if you get a better cardiovascular system, you produce more mitochondria that allow you to oxidize more lactate. So the problem is not your anaerobic training. Your problem is, honestly, 8-minute miles, you suck at cardio.
Yeah.
And someone who sucks at cardio is right with you on that one. But for CrossFit, 8-minute mile, not even close. Yeah. Like you're gonna have to be at a 6-minute mile. I can do a 6-minute mile. You give me 2 weeks of training, I could do it. And I suck at CrossFit. And 125 400 meters means your type 2A fibers, the fast oxidative fibers, are also it's not enough. So your long-term, yes, for me it's totally long-term cardio, is not good enough. But if you look, it's because your power output is not good. So now my question would be, can you run 40 minutes straight? Yeah. If you can't do that, that means, because I don't know because you didn't post it, but if you can't run 40 minutes straight, that means your cardiovascular capacity is not good. 8-minute miles, too slow. 125 400 meters, too slow. That means your type 2A fibers are just not there. So what you have is type 2B fibers, which is pure anaerobic training. So doing CrossFit with a system, with a low cardiovascular system and type 2A fibers that are not good enough, that alone will give you anxiety, because when you have to go into a workout, it's a fight every single time.
Yeah.
And if you compete, you're going to be super stressed about competing, because if you want to compete at an elite level, that means that every single workout, the pain barrier you're going to have to push. So you must be very strong mentally. And so that means that you can go deep into that pain cave and just wreck yourself for every single workout. But imagine...
But that's going to come at a cost at everything.
Exactly.
At these other things where it seems like the price is being paid right now.
Right. And that's why the anxiety is there, because you're pumping the fuel necessary for you to go through the pain cave. Yeah. So you need that anxiety because you don't have the physical capacity to go where you want to be. So 2 choices: either you compete at a lower level in CrossFit, which don't do that, yeah. Or you get better at cardiovascular capacity and also that 400 meter. Yeah. You need to do a lot of sprinting. So pure VO2 max training, like 30 seconds on, 30 seconds off. You do 1 minute on the 400 meters. If your best is 125, then you do 90 seconds, 400 meter, 90 seconds, rest 1 minute, do it 5 times. Yeah. You'll die by the third, but that's the type of training that you need to do.
Well, and it seems to me like I see, just reading it outright, it just seems like what I see is kind of what happens often with people who do a lot of Metcons. Yeah. Is you kind of have like some okay strength.
Yeah, exactly.
And some okay, but maybe that mid-level output that's not progressing anymore because it's kind of more. So
my guess is
this is me speculating, of course, not knowing.
But my guess, and that's a guess, is you're doing heavy Metcons all the time, and that's bad programming. Yeah. Like, I don't know who programs for you, but if you're doing heavy Metcons all the time, it fries you. I've seen it so many times with women, especially when they start older. I've seen that too. I'm betting you're pretty good at heavy Metcons, and that's destroying your nervous system. It's frying you, and that's why your anxiety is also through the roof.
That's a really good expression of your skill and capacity.
Right. That's a good test.
Yeah.
But it's not you're not building shit. What you need is to train the extremes. You need to go do that pure VO2 max, so 400 meter runs, sometimes 800 meter, and you're gonna fucking hate that. Yeah. But not slow, fast. You need to do the longer, cardiovascular stuff. You need to do that mile. You do like 1 kilometer run every 6 minutes. Yeah. And try to do 3 of them. Right, and you'll know exactly where you are. You'll see what I mean when you do that. You're gonna have to work if you want to be good at CrossFit, you need to work those extremes. Like you probably do good at heavy Metcons, but that doesn't mean shit. That's one thing you're good at, but you're gonna have to work the other one. So competing in CrossFit with that capacity at the elite level will give you anxiety just from the pain level that you must go through during your workouts. Means you're very strong mentally. Good. Use that, just get better at the necessities of CrossFit. Yeah. Because a lot of time, anxiety, like, it's linked to lactate, but don't get me wrong, it's also you. Well, you're fucking up you have bad life choices. Sometimes.
Well, but it's like, geez, you're so... Poor person's probably hearing the code. What do you mean I made poor bad? But it is similar, like what you said, there is some choice-based things that go along with anxiety, involving choosing to take action, choosing to not, choosing to react.
I'm talking about the small stuff, not the big stuff. When I say life choices, I don't mean like, wrong life, I chose the wrong mate or shit like that. I'm talking about the small stuff. Like, for example, me with Yaya, I could have chosen to control my temper that day. Yeah. I didn't, but then the stress went up. Good decision, bad decision, that's not even the point.
Once you're in it,
it doesn't matter. Is that decision gave me a much level higher of lactate, and then the whole feeling of not feeling good and everything. That was a choice.
Yeah.
You know what I mean? Like I knew how it would make me feel. I was just so pissed that it decided to go with it. Those types of things. You know what I mean? And I speak with all the love in my heart because I want you to do better. You need to know, like if we're talking competing in CrossFit, all right, you're talking to someone who's trained many games athletes. I'm like, all right, then I'm not gonna bullshit you. Like 8 minute mile is just fucking too slow.
Yeah.
And 125 on the 400 meters is too slow as well.
Yeah.
I sorry, like that's just the truth.
All right, here we go. What is the best way to train mid and upper back erector spina? Mid and upper erectors. I'm thinking they're just thinking mid.
Yeah,
and
because the
upper
erector
back.
spinae they do not go all the way to the upper back. So mid and upper back. Oh yeah. So what? Like the trap three? Is that what you're saying?
I'm thinking, yeah.
Yeah, I'm thinking if it's a trap three, because erector spinae don't go all the way up. So I mean they go up to the mid back, but not to the upper back. So like that center of the back, I'm guessing.
I'm thinking.
My favorite is still sandbag presses and overhead carries by a mile.
Yeah.
Overhead carries because you have to stabilize in the frontal plane, and that will make the lower upper back work really hard. Which is, by the way, it's a bitch area to train. Like that one is tricky to get going.
It's really tricky because you don't have what you do in a lot of muscles is like an easy joint like response. And so you're doing a lot of this weird tension that you have to get.
Try to squeeze that trap three.
And almost impossible to do it without doing something up here.
Exactly. And so everybody does this, but it's too easy to use the rear delt, to use the upper trap
and
on
then
this
it's
one.
never heavy.
It's exactly. So it's actually very, very hard. Whenever I've faced that issue, overhead yoke carries seem to be what work the best, but heavy.
Compound structural, heavy as fuck exercise. The fact is, as far as anything that I've seen with the back, never known anyone who got a big back lifting light weights either. No, and that's so that means your accessory work needs to at some point do some gangster shit. Even when we're talking overall the back, as far as bent over rows are great for pump work, but I swear to God, if you're not doing them heavy to the point where you almost can't breathe.
Yeah,
that's
I don't
that's how
breathe
I know
on those.
they
I don't breathe on those.
Is that I usually feel like I'm about to pass out. Is that I think that's a good recipe. Heavy lifting, safe lifting is a good recipe for a big back.
That's the problem with the overhead yoke carries. Most people either do it in imams or that's whoever posted 400 meters or the shit like that. And I'm like, you didn't do anything.
Yeah.
You can go all traps for 400 meters on a light overhead yoke carry. It has to be heavy, like 20 meters, and you'll feel like your spine is gonna pop. I mean, like sometimes you gotta lift heavy.
Yeah. And so, but I agree with you there. Like trying to get something like that in isolation is hard, and then it's almost impossible to really tax
And honestly, if you have an issue there, because that's what you go toward that assistance work, that means you don't have a connection. That connection with stuff like that means you'll connect with everything else before you get to the trap, to that, like low upper back. Yeah. It's a bitch area, like no question. It's a bitch to get to. So the only thing that I've seen work me was the heavy overhead yoke carry.
Yeah. All right, next question. Are fruits that bad for the no-fix diet? Let me go on what the no-fix diet is first.
Yep.
No-fix is we don't want sympathetic fixes going in your day. So it doesn't truly mean no sugar. You can still have sugar when you train, correct?
Yeah.
But it just means that behaviorally, you're not turning to carbs or caffeine or sugar.
Any sympathetic fix, basically anything that allows you to go sympathetic. So for that question, usually my answer is it depends. And I'm going to say the same thing. It depends. Are you using fruits because they make you happy?
Yeah.
And if they do, then that's no, you can't do them because then it becomes a fix. So are you eating?
Because you're bored in the day and you just want something sweet.
Exactly. So are you? So if you?
Because while maybe the effect might be different, behaviorally that's not any different of a behavior than just grabbing a piece of candy or a piece. Not that it's not better or worse. It certainly is probably better to have a piece of fruit than a piece of candy. But behaviorally, you're kind of doing the same thing and you're giving yourself the same.
If it's a fix.
If you're going for the no-fix thing. And if what I say was fruit's bad, of course not. But in the no-fix diet, the point is the fix. So it really always depends on what it is to you.
If you're telling me, I feel like having an apple, I'm like, all good.
Yeah.
If you're telling me I feel like having an entire pound of grapes, then chances are you want the sugar. You know what I mean? Like, so if you have like a few pieces of grapes as you train, for example, I'm like, that's great, just pound the grapes. But let's say first thing in the morning, again, an apple because you love the taste and you love the crunchy. I'm like, that's fine. It's not like there's sugar on apple, but it's not that bad. But again, you go toward a bunch of grapes, stuff like that. I'm like, oh, it makes me so happy. I'm like, yeah.
So
sugar.
sort of unrelated. So Megan's been delivering for Uber Eats as a really cool way on the bike to get around, like see Amsterdam.
And see
It's sweet.
Amsterdam on top
It's
of it,
also like great on-demand work. You can just sit at house, have it on. Bike's sitting right there. If it goes off, it's always pretty nearby if she's leaving from the house.
That's good.
So it's a sweet little, go out and make $8, come back. Go out and make $5, come back. But some of the places the restaurants are nice, start to know her. And so they sent her home with a nice cold can of Fanta. Right?
Yes.
And so, and Lincoln doesn't, we have like no pop in our house, no soda of any kind. It's not a thing I buy. I'll have a diet caffeine-free Coca-Cola. A bottle will be around if I'm having like rum sometime. Yeah. But other than that, like there's no, I drink water or cream. It's kind of as far as I go. And so he has this thing, and of course it's last night when she gets back. He's like, you're not fucking drinking this tonight. I'm sorry. He gets up this morning. It's the first thing he does.
Right.
He comes up. He's not even, and he goes to the fridge and just grabs a can of Fanta. And I'm like, "What the fuck are you doing?"
You said
He's
tomorrow.
Like, it's mine. And I was like,
exactly.
"Well," so I made the rule. I was like, "So you know how you make arbitrary dad rules that you don't know why?" I was like, "You got to wait till 30 minutes after you've been awake." Because at some point it's like, I don't want him to, I also need him to brush his teeth.
He'll feel sick.
I don't want him to have, but I also don't want him to be like, wait till you get all your chores done and brush your teeth, because then he'll be like, well, no, it tastes gross. So I was like, fuck it. Wait 30 minutes and then you can have it. So what he did was he waited 30 minutes and he just goes.
Oh, the whole thing? Yeah.
The whole thing. And I was like, kind of impressed. So now we're gonna have a contest where me and him are gonna have to have a chugging contest. He's gonna put down a Fanta and I'm gonna put down a beer and we're gonna see who wins.
That's your wins.
I'm gonna go with the
okay. So that's a fix.
That's a fix.
If you do that with a Fanta, that's a fix.
You gotta wake up in the morning, and get
the sugar. I feel so much better. Yeah, that's a fix.
You start pouring Fanta into a funnel. That's when you know you got a problem.
Oh, I've seen you. Yeah.
Okay, next one here we've got. Question for Disney December workouts.
Yep.
I train 4 to 5 days a week and one Disney December session.
One.
I try to figure out which range I have to keep my heart rate on with my nasal to nasal breathing, and why should I follow that heart rate? Basically, he just wants to know what heart rate reference point should be and why.
So first of all, Disney December is not a workout. It's just, we call it active meditation. I don't know that one a week is enough. Like, I don't think you're going to get much out of it. You would have to do it 2-3 times a week. I mean, they're going to say one is better than none. That's probably true.
But it might not be enough practice is the issue for it to be useful. That's
because
I think there's a threshold, and the threshold for me was like, basically it has to be at least probably 3 hours a week for me. Because I will waste half of that time. The truth is, as I'm not in the right state of, you know what I mean? For me, it takes me, it's the first 20 minutes of each session, 30, where here is me kind of trying to get to where I need to be. And so it's a learning process that when I started jumping into that 45 minutes at a time, it didn't really do anything.
So
I didn't get good enough.
There's that practice of getting into that mental zone where you get the benefits, and also the practice of nasal breathing.
Yeah.
Which is actually, when you go a little bit fast, is not that easy.
Yeah.
But it helps you at night time. Yeah, exactly. So I don't know that you can get that type of practice in once a week.
Yeah.
Like, that doesn't sound right. Like, maybe at first you did it 6 times a week for 5 months, and then now you're in a, maybe, but that sounds like once a week. I don't think you're getting the benefits out of it. After that, the range would be, I don't know, between 110 to 130. The idea is to try to push the flow state as far as you can, but without falling into a full sympathetic response. And so we've seen that usually 120, 130 is when you start to go, we start to see the full sympathetic response happening. That's when you usually start sweating from the top of the forehead. And because usually that's when your thought pattern starts to go toward aggression.
Yeah.
Confrontation, aggression, stuff like that. I know I'm starting to go too fast because I always go back to jiu-jitsu, or I'm fucking somebody up in the streets or some stuff like that. Always go toward confrontational thoughts. That tells me I'm going too fast. I need to slow it down. And that was the point of Disney December, was to slow myself down.
Yeah.
To down regulation.
Well, and
get in the zone.
And in my experience here is I try to do it on the bike, and I noticed the issue is there's unfamiliarity in my terrain that is problematic. I still have my best use on something stationary, only because I'm really easily mentally preoccupied too.
But you can't do it in the city.
And it's just too much in the city.
You need a straight line.
Very hard.
You need a straight line.
And so, but I think that is important to know too. It's where you're doing it, how you're doing it, where you are.
So the key is to be in the zone, right? Yeah. Anything in your heart rate past 120, 130, your thought patterns will go toward going faster. You will have a hard time controlling your nasal breathing. So that's, to answer the question directly, that's why I think past 120, 130 is most likely too high, but maybe with some people it works. The point is, your thought patterns will tell you where you are. If you're bored, you're going too slow. If you get confrontational, you're going too fast.
I think that's the measure. If you're bored, you're going too slow.
And nasal breathing. Right, so you want to go nasal breathing. If you can't, if it's hard to maintain nasal breathing, you're going too fast. If you're bored, you're going too slow.
Yeah.
And that'll, most likely, my guess is your heart rate, if you will see that zone, will be between 120 and 130.
Yeah. And I always seem to be right on the border. Those 2 points are pretty close together for me.
It takes a while, but that's where the practice comes in.
Exactly.
When I did it like 5-6 times a week, I could jump into it. But that's because mentally I knew the type of thought patterns that I was looking for.
I had a note that I was going to send you today, actually, but you bombarded me with one interesting study and then 3 more. So I'm reading one study through. Really, but I was going to send Julien something that I had been noticing. I had this moment where when I sleep, I always use like white noise. I have a fan on in the room. The still silence of sleeping is weird to me.
Yeah.
And I start doing it often in my day too, because I have a big dog in a small apartment. I have a big exhausted kitchen hood that's really good for ventilation. I can open the doors up and I run that, and I know, so even when I leave the house, I leave that fan on. That's fucking loud. It's a lot louder than this air conditioner in here. And I'd never realized I leave this thing on the low setting, but 24/7.
Oh, you need the white noise.
But I always do. I did it when I was in your place in Utrecht too. I always kind of have.
You need the white noise.
But no, I think it's fucking horrible for your nervous system. I never realized it until I turned it off.
Oh.
And I went, I could.
Right. So it brings you up a little.
You have no idea. Yeah, you don't even know. And then I started looking at noise pollution in city living, and the same thing is the ambient noise, the baseline noise that's going on in your world. It's kind of like pain. It's just because it's not in your level of consciousness, it is still really affecting you.
That's very interesting.
I am really cognizant of that.
So that was a sympathetic fix as well. It was a way for you to drive yourself to the roof.
It wasn't. I was just in it. I had no idea. And then I noticed to expand on that. So I've been in Amsterdam now for 10 weeks, something like that. Utrecht, I've been more for a few months before, and I've been there often. I've been through the city for a couple years now. So I went back there yesterday to film a couple things, and I felt different. And that's when I started kind of looking into the city and the noise and just some of those other things. And I realized that here it still is so unfamiliar, just in getting around the people, the COVID stuff.
Plus now it's getting busy.
So my circumstances are constantly
changing,
just a bit different, not in my control, and not that I understand. And I think that might be somewhat why, I might think about smashing my bicycle through car windows when they cut me off and shit like that.
It drives you just on the edge.
Everything is just enough survival. It's just enough.
Pop your calf.
Pop my fucking calf twice.
Yeah.
And now it's.
But I wouldn't be surprised. Yeah, but why? Because you switched to ET.
Yeah.
That's very interesting. Yeah, I could definitely see it as a sympathetic fix. Anything that just.
Yeah. And what's interesting is I think initially though, just like I think a sympathetic fix is for people. Initially going from a still, quiet room where you just hear the still echoing silence and your own breathing and your dog fucking breathing and your kid, you know what I mean? It's and you turn on that fan, it washes all that out. You think,
right.
And then what I don't realize is that it's 3 hours later, I'm just up two more notches. Because sometimes those 2 notches are what will save you from a fucking meltdown too.
Yeah. But because maybe you're listening to it, you don't realize, but you're continuously listening to it.
And so I looked into some research, and there's some really compelling stuff that I think there's definitely ambient noise plays a massive factor. And I think your environment when you do Disney December stuff, be cognizant of all of those things.
Yes, like for example,
City, stress, people,
right.
traffic,
You're not doing
noise.
this while going on a bicycle through the city.
Yeah,
It's not Disney December. There's no fucking way.
yeah. No,
It's not.
madness here.
Yeah, exactly. No, it is. But that's a very good example. Then it's not Disney December. Yeah. That's why the music matters so much. And by the way, do you know that I had now repeatedly people telling me that listening to Disney princesses songs drive them into a murderous
Makes them lose their
rage?
mind. Yeah.
I'm like, you have issues then. Let me just say it right now.
Well, there is something to be said for. Now, I will say, if I'm coaching a group class, that's a complicated sell. If I have a group full of people coming in, now we're going to listen to Disney. That's a complicated sell. But I do think as the person, if you like get violent because of Moana, like at some point, it's like you got to be able to give that moment.
Like
Like
if you're not listening to the song because you're like, I don't care.
Too cool.
I get it.
Yeah.
But if it sends you into a violent rage,
That's a different story.
that means that you cannot relax.
Yeah.
Like relaxation hurts.
Yeah.
Right. That's what we should talk about.
Now, here's the best one. I didn't want to say anything to take it down a rabbit hole during the seminar, but I think it was Timothy had mentioned we were talking about the same concept, right? The Disney music, and he said, well, but what if like I just think that maybe Disney might be mind controlling children, and I wanted to be like. Yes, this is a conversation I can have. This is the conversation I'll have where we want to talk about how you don't have to use the princesses. But other than that, use the princesses.
Yes.
Unless you feel like you're getting brainwashed, which I'll consider for sure. Just use the princess.
I did not even think about that one. But use the fucking princesses.
Oh, I love.
And if they drive you into a violent rage, it's not the princesses, it's not Disney, it's you.
Yeah.
Yeah, you can't relax, and relaxation hurts. That's what you should know. You're so into the sympathetic, you can't even relax into letting yourself go into the flow. And I'm guessing that's overall in your life on that one.
Okay.
It was kind of funny when the guy said that.
I thought it was great. Well, no, because first off, I would be like, Disney is,
But I love the way he phrased it too. He's like, I don't know if I can give it to my people because it doesn't sound safe. I was like, safe? What do you mean? How is Disney December not safe? Well, I gave it to two of my guys, and then they were into a murderous rage after listening for 30 minutes, and then they broke their phone, and I'm like, what are we talking about here?
Yeah.
It's like the Disney princesses, like, the songs that you have.
Well,
there is Moana.
There is a measure where I would, if I'm going to sit in a room and try to, with a bunch of other men and be like, now we're listening to this and now we're going to train, keep your Disney December time maybe to yourself.
No, but that's what he was. He gave it to the guy to go do, again, walk around.
Well, I didn't know if maybe they were in the impression
No,
that's
that's not.
Like
It's just the way he said it, I was like, what? Yeah, that was funny. The way he said it was so funny.
Okay, so we've got, this one is an interesting question. I have a hard time getting into a fight mode. I have full wetsuit, get a warm-up pump, even do hard intervals to induce heavy mouth breathing before hitting heavy weights. Don't feel anger, don't feel like I want to fight something, and am I doing something wrong?
Yes.
My first thought is I think your playlist needs an upgrade first, but...
well, doing something
can't get into
wrong.
fight mode. You can't...
Right.
People lose the fight, the ability to, or the want
Fight
to,
for
or the whatever.
many reasons. Doing something wrong. You're not doing something right.
Yes.
I would say that, yes. You are. You're telling me like you have a heavy deadlift, you have a heavy squat, you have a heavy yoke carry. You're about to do a sled sprint where you know the pain is going to be so ridiculous, you're going to cramp for 5 minutes after. Doesn't bring some anger out of you, or at least some kind of, then you can't get into the fight mode. So you're not doing something right, that's for sure. I would have to ask you, why do you train? Why do you lift heavy? Why you do the sled? If you're looking at the sled because you have to, because I said so on the podcast, then you're doing it for the wrong reason. Like you're training with a sled because you're training for life. You're training to find the fight mode. You're trying to bring yourself into a certain state. You're trying to not be an agent of averageness. That's what training is.
I think Chris, from the podcast we had last week, was him and Richard talking about how for him it was a matter of, because he had the same thing, lost fight intensity, just wasn't quite there. And I think the way he said he had found it was he had really had to connect to his why. Because the fact is, if you don't know, like you said, if you don't know why you're training and what you're training for, it's really difficult to sign yourself up for this really fucking uncomfortable sensation and to justify it to yourself and to continue to push at every moment. If you're not connected to why, at every moment, quit is fucking dangling there.
Right, so let's talk about that every second, because that's a good point. Why are you training? If you're doing it because I said so, it'll never work. You're gonna have, if you're training just to train, it's not gonna work. If you're training to get the right muscles, it's not gonna work. It's none of that. It's you're training to get better at life. So, like the sled, sometimes it gets so rough on the parking lot that outside, it's literally every second the sled is asking you to quit.
Because there will be moments where you think you have 10 seconds of movement, and you have 1.
Yeah.
And now your effort has to be at an 11 to get it.
You go there and back, it was, I don't know, like, what, 40
Scourging.
seconds, a minute long, right? So that means every single second for 60 seconds, the sled is going to tell you to quit.
Yeah.
Right?
And if you let off even a moment, a little bit, it sticks.
It goes like this. So at that, every second for 60 seconds, you're going to have to answer, why am I doing this? And if it's because it's the programming of it, it's never going to work. The reason it's on you've seen the video where I say I refuse to lose to the sled. It's not, I'm not interested in becoming the world champion of sled pushes.
Not an awesome sport.
No, that'd be a mean sport, by the way. That'd be kind of fun to have those as a competition.
It would be
It'd be so fun.
nasty.
Oh, we destroy people. We should do a strongman competition and our way.
Strongman speed.
And organize stuff with sled and stuff like
that would be interesting.
I don't want to call it a StrongFit competition because then they're gonna say you're doing the StrongFit games because that's what everybody's gonna call it.
Ugh, yeah.
I don't want. I don't want to go down that road.
Yeah.
But I do want to organize a competition because it'd be fun. Anyway, the reason I pushed the sled there and back like that, the reason I refused to lose to the sled that day because I lost the set before, is because then he would looking in the mirror until the next session. So I have 3 days or 4 days until the next session where I have to look in the mirror knowing that I quit on something. And so then I would have to answer that question, is that me now? Am I getting, it's not even old, it's like, am I quitting now?
Yeah.
Is that who I am? Someone who's not capable of going past a moment of discomfort? Is that how I see life now? As that thing that requires half a commitment for me? I just refuse to see life like that. Yeah. I'm going to live every second as hard as I can, and I refuse to let discomfort win. Because if you start to let discomfort win, then where does it stop? Because everything is always going to be uncomfortable. Like I know that from that podcast and neuroscience and everything, but you live in the same amount of pain and discomfort always. Just the question is, where do you put that discomfort? It can be having to do the dishes, or it can be, but no matter what, you're going to find things uncomfortable. Mm-hmm. So the sled allows me to push that barrier further, where if I can push the sled and nearly kill myself, then everything else in life is easy. I have less chances of finding things that truly make me uncomfortable. I'm trying to push to increase my distress tolerance. That's what I'm training for. And so when I push the sled, I know exactly why I'm pushing the sled.
I think when you don't know why, as soon as that comes up,
there's no fucking way. Then you're quitting.
Really easy out, man.
Yeah, it's just, why would you do it? If you don't know why would you push a sled?
And it's not that you'll stop before you get anything done, but you might stop before you get everything done.
And then therefore, you stop before you got anything done.
Yeah. Yeah.
If you can't push the sled to that moment, and if you've been there, you know what I'm talking about, past that moment, then you're not doing anything. I don't want to say you're pretending, because I'm sure you're training hard and you're trying hard, but you're not achieving anything. You have to go past yourself. That's the point of the sled. That's why we said burn the questions and everything. You have to go past yourself. And it's there. It's already inside you. The will, the capacity is there somewhere. You just haven't found it yet.
And I do think, again, depending on your environment, environment matters. Training partners matter. We talked about that last week too.
Maybe training partners?
Training partners matter. Get yourself a training partner and make the commitment in the beginning to be like, at the very least, I'm not going to accept less than this from you, and you do the same. Accountability and then a good vibe.
I have two good training partners for you if you want. I have Janine and Yaya.
Yeah.
And both of them will kick your ass on the sled, and they'll make you go a lot harder.
You'll be fucking, you see, the fact
You'll be so embarrassed.
You see somebody work hard, not because they're stronger or faster, just literally
Although they are.
work. Yes, but literally work. Like just put in more work, more intensity, more
Exactly.
fight, more, like just fight for it more
Once
than
you
right
see
in front
those
of you.
two, yeah,
You're like fuck. Like now
Yeah, exactly.
there's a new bar.
yeah.
And I think that's important. That a new
Once
bar
you
is
see
set.
those two putting more work in than you do,
Yeah.
and more intensity, like Janine, like she took the sled and she just started taking off, and her first 20 meters of it was faster than anybody that day.
Yeah,
Everybody went, oh,
yeah,
because there you go.
Yeah.
So what's your excuse? So it's that. So maybe training partners, but you're right. It's all about the environment. Maybe you're training by yourself. That's a bitch.
I'm serious, man. Buff up that playlist.
Where is Chris from? We don't know.
This one?
If you're in Europe, come train with us.
Oh yeah, I don't. This was from one of the forums, so I don't have a.
Okay. Chris, if you're in
Location.
Europe, come train with us one time. We'll just murder you. And you'll see what it takes. And then I'll want that once a week, every week. But it's there. Chris, you have the capacity to do this. You just haven't found maybe your why or the environment necessary to truly push that. But you need to find it. But again, like those are questions you're gonna have to answer. Like I can't answer those questions. I answer them when it happens to me when I'm on the sled. And me is I refuse to lose. Because losing to the sled means losing to life. And I'm not gonna lose in life. I've gone through too much. I got all the way here. I mean, I'm barely getting started. Like I just refuse to lose. To me, losing means refusing to become Professor Xavier one day. I mean, like the superpowers. I'm not giving up. I still have fully expecting to figure the shit out by the time I die. And I don't care if I die nothing, but I will not. It's not even giving up on the idea. It's like I am looking for this, and then I will not lose.
And understanding that we talked about it with intensity and movement within muscle and all those things. Again, that the work is no work is done until you're there. So that's kind of it. If you're going for that, if you're trying to get in fight mode and you can't get it, get that, or else you've not done anything.
That's why we say if you don't 5 sets with the sled, you haven't done one.
Yeah. Yeah.
But it's that mentality of refusing to lose, of what do you want out of life? I know what I want, and I'm not going to let the sled... I look at it like the sled is taking away from me what I want.
Yeah.
And I'm like, no, you don't get to do that.
Okay, next one here. This one's for me, I think. Could you add a checklist to the StrongFit website so we could cross off the studies we have read or not read? You could even make them interactive so people could add thoughts on the papers too. Those are both really good ideas. I've thought about both of them. The second point, let me address first. Make them interactive so people can add thoughts on the papers. I like the idea. My worry, actually, and the reason I haven't done it there is that I don't want the library where people go to at least have the place be archived start to get muddied with conversation and dilemma, and then it's something I have to moderate that's on our stuff. But
I'll never answer.
Yeah, and so, but what I would encourage you to do is, anyone watching any of this, if you ever want to create a discussion about one of the studies, grab it from the library, just copy the link and paste it in the StrongFit community on Facebook. And there we can kind of initiate a discussion about it and see other people have read the studies. A lot of people read. If you need clarification, I think that's the way that I would rather do it than if I add another layer on top of the library.
And by the way, there's another point to this: is the library is the place where I put the stuff. I don't want. That's not my safe place, but that's my place of where I got my stuff, where I'm happy. I got my toys there, all my studies that I go to and everything. I don't want to see some questions on it. I don't want to see guys misinterpreting or like stuff we have to monitor. I don't want to be forced to go on the library and monitor the stuff and moderate. And I don't want to go on there and see someone commenting some stupid shit and I'm pissed off. I don't want any of that. So the library is going to stay clean.
Yeah. So it's like the no money lenders in the temple, right?
That's a very good way of putting it.
So, but then again, for the checking off studies that you've read or not read.
You fucking do it.
Well, that is interesting. I'll be honest. There might be a way that could be done. I always thought about it would be cool.
How do you not know if you've read a study?
Well, here's what
you haven't read it.
I'm hoping that it gets to be so robust and thorough. The truth is this, actually, is that at any given moment, what's going to happen is the library grows and expands to this point, and then categories have to get redistributed so that it's easier to grow. So it's going to grow to a point where it might be, it's one moment it might be hard to navigate, and then I have to recategorize now that we have enough to make it useful, and things will always get.
I have a solution. If you don't know if you read a study,
read it again.
Read it again.
So, but no, I do appreciate that feedback.
By the way, on that subject, you should probably read the studies every 6 months because as your understanding of all that stuff gets better, you get so much more out of it. Yeah. I just read the lactate shuttle theory, science and translation of the lactate shuttle theory that we have. Oh my God, I understood so much more stuff the second time around. Enfin, the second time around, the sixth time around.
The other thing, one of the reasons we try to keep the library just clean and crisp and not over intuitive is that it exists as a place, kind of a holding place for us to put everything, but it's also where Julien goes back through and kind of starts piecing things together. Once it's in the library, it means that has a thought, a plan, an idea, it has a place in his brain. And then he goes back through, and so it's more that where it's like I just couldn't have noise going on in that place.
There will not be noise. It's my mind palace on the internet, basically.
But again, I would encourage discussion about that stuff to go on for sure in the community. Because
I might even answer.
That's a thing haven't seen. I try to encourage it. Maybe I don't push it enough, but I haven't seen as much of it as I would like, and I would really like to see whether it's videos, art, literally everything is on the StrongFit library. So
we should do a podcast on how to read those.
It's not a bad idea.
Because they're sometimes.
I go like this. Like Rain Man.
No, but I could explain how to read those because we'll do a podcast on that.
Hey, speaking of Rain Man, did I ever tell you the Rain Man story?
No.
All right, I was in 6th grade. I just thought of this with the mind reading thing or the speed reading thing. The dude from actual Rain Man, like the actual guy that it was based on, and his brother, who was not look like Tom Cruise. By the way, neither of those two men look like Tom Cruise and Dustin Hoffman. It is a very different situation rolling through in the real world than those two guys. But the guy was incredible. And he was old. He was old. I was maybe 11, 12 years old. Comes into our classroom, and we have just a wall of books. And the thing was pick any book. Excuse me. Pick any book, any page. And you would just say it, and he just memorized. Boom. You'd go, you'd grab it, you'd open it, and he would know the book, the page, and read exactly. You'd grab another one. It was, the fucking mind.
Yeah.
What the mind is possible.
Yeah.
That looks to the outside world like a broken fucking brain.
Yeah.
Is unbelievable.
Yeah.
I don't believe that I could type in those things via my MacBook Pro, hit enter, and have the fucking response to exactly what's on that page and that paragraph as quickly as he did. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, they still, that was the whole point of the imprinted brain theory. It seems to be nature's try at complexity.
Yeah, it's unbelievable.
Like,
you see the movie, and the movie is just what the movie is, and you hear stories about people who do it, but to see it and like really understand the magnitude of it is like I'm like whatever it is in whatever he's specialized in, it is more efficient than anything.
Did you see that autistic kids who took on a helicopter trip of New York, comes down and start drawing it
from memory
and drew the entire thing from
panorama,
memory.
like 360 degrees,
and the whole thing was sharp detail.
Yeah,
it was the most insane thing. Like you don't even fathom how the shit can work.
Yeah.
No one understands.
Okay, we are almost nearing the end here. This was the one I wanted to get to for sure. Just me coughing into the mic.
There you go.
But acyclical and cyclical movement. So we had a gentleman from the seminar. I won't say who it is, but he was the gentleman that Yaya was talking shit to. But he was the one, he had asked about the cyclical stuff, said he kind of forgot to get back to it at the end of the seminar.
That's
Acyclical
true.
and cyclical work. The basics of it. What is it traditionally? Or what is it Cliff's Notes wise?
Right. It was, in a way, he was doing a movement in IT on the concentric or ET. Mm-hmm. If I wanted to go explosive, I would go ET on the concentric. And if I wanted to go more into a flow, I would use IT, internal torque, on the concentric. And so there was a way to almost relax into the movement if I wanted to go in cyclical and go internal torque on the concentric and then almost external torque on the eccentric and then back and forth like this.
I found there's two ways that I would kind of describe it. Is that when you mention external torque on the eccentric, very often that seemed to me more like... really was more like kind of just falling, right? So in the squat, it's not really It's a fluid motion.
Yeah.
So there's a fruit up.
There's a rhythm to it.
The way I always taught the exercise was this. First, you kind of fall into it if you breathe right. And also if you think like there is no true top or bottom end range motion to the movement. There's not a top and a bottom.
That's the thing. If he's asking if I'm still using it, yes, but not. The thing is, all those things become integrated in what I do. Yeah. So I don't keep thinking internal torque on the way up and external torque on the way down. It's just it became a feeling at some point, as it should be.
Yeah.
It's like even in chess, where Magnus Carlsen explaining that he can feel if the move is right or not. But he wasn't born with a feeling of that move because he studied so much. But at some point, it's integrated, and then you just look at the stuff, going like, "That doesn't look right." Right. So that when I do a movement, I'm going like I move a certain way until I'm like, "Oh, that's a correct movement," and then I stay within this. Usually based on breathing, based on whatever the movement is supposed to be. But all that stuff is integrated. So, but and in that sense, yes, I still do cyclical, acyclical, but it's just integrated now. I just know how to do those patterns.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like most of the stuff that I do, it becomes integrated. That's why, in a way, I forget the stuff. It's because it's already integrated.
It's a pattern in action now,
always,
and not a pattern on paper.
And the second
explanation becomes secondary.
Right. The second pattern becomes transformed into action for me, I let it go completely because there's just not enough space otherwise in my brain. So it's like my brain can only focus on one pattern at a time. Even though it's 5 at the same time, it's hard to explain. There's always a bunch. So it's the mind palace thing, where I have a room. I can go into this, but there's different rooms in a mind palace. One of the rooms, there's a chalkboard, a black chalkboard, where the problems I'm thinking about are spinning. So it's blurry because it's not clear yet. But there's always certain rooms in the mind palace where certain issues are being solved.
And you have this kind of built out for yourself with very, very vivid detail.
So
it's a visualization that is very, very, very
But the thing is, I can only be in one room at a time. So if I'm in the first room, I'm not in the second one. I'm only in the first room. So then I can only see what's in the first room. So depending if I'm working on something, it's going to be a specific room. But once it's integrated, it's out. Yeah. It's because otherwise it would create a mess in the room that I'm in. Yeah. So some of the stuff that have been integrated, they're out. They're outside of the maybe not outside because they'd be forgotten, but they're in a specific dark room where I don't need to go anymore because the essence of this has been integrated. And so that's how I do most of the stuff. So the cyclical, acyclical, it's already integrated. So the essence of it is on the chalkboard in the first room. Yeah. So I don't even need to look at it anymore. My whole system is there. So once in a while, if I can look at it like this if I need to, but it's on the chalkboard. If it's on the chalkboard in the first room, it's integrated. That means it's printed inside. Yeah. You know what I mean?
It's hard-coded.
It's printed, it's hard-coded. Yeah. If it's on the chalkboard in the first room, it's hard-coded. Then it's there. So I look at it, but I don't look at it because it's hard-coded. Yeah. Right. And then the stuff I'm working on is in the third room. It's different. So then I go there once in a while, but I can only be in one room at a time. This is why I don't memorize stuff, because if I memorize, I would have to
live in it way too much.
I would have to build file cabinet, and I'm messy, and then they would be in my rooms, and I don't want that. It's a very specific.
There's a concept that maybe we should go into at a later date that I think would be interesting to think of, because you have had a lot of big ideas, epiphanies, moments like that, and relevant to the Mind Palace. I think we'll expand on it at a different time because it'll get
the Mind Palace. Yep.
But I think there's something about where like ideas come from, where creativity comes from. Like in my own experience, what I'll tell you this is I have never had an idea that felt like it was mine.
Is math created or discovered?
Well, exactly. Yeah. I've never created anything, whether it's
that's a
video, documentary, or whether it's art, music, anything that I've created or I've written from nothing.
Look, it's a long conversation with Plateau right there.
I have only ever felt as though I'm a vehicle, a conduit.
Yes,
and maybe some people are very technical and they can really, maybe that's how they work. But that's a really interesting. And I think that the way the Mind Palaces operates as well for you is very much it's a thing that works for you often,
Right,
more
because
than you having to work in.
I believe ideas are discovered, not created.
Exactly.
So
Any idea that I've had, anything I've ever made, I don't believe it's mine. I think I was the right person. It was the right time. I chose the right whatever it was, but I don't believe that I came up with
Do they
any of it.
exist in a meta level? That we just, not pilfering, but
think.
reaching toward and just grabbing it. But there is, and that's from Plato all the way to now other, even mathematicians are talking about that. Where are we? That's what they say math is discovered. It's like, are we just reaching for an idea that exists on literally, on a meta level, a different dimension?
Just a plane that we can either see.
A plane of
whatever it
ideas,
is.
right?
Yep.
And which is Plato already introduced that idea. I do believe so.
Yeah. Yeah.
That's why I never, but that's also Ramanujan saying that his answer came from his family deity. She, she was giving it.
Yeah.
She was giving the ideas to him. So for him, it wasn't him working it out.
Yeah.
That's a deep, deep conversation.
Yeah. I've never had like a life-changing epiphany or moment or anything with which I fleshed out A, B, C, ha. There is it. It's no.
It's a feeling.
I ruminate with it.
It's a click.
I try to, with any one of those things, I work with it and now analyze it, get all meshed up in it, and then and then the thing happens.
Yeah, to me, it's a lot like looking at a painting. You look at a Picasso painting. I don't understand paintings.
Yeah.
I've discovered that a long time ago. I understand sculptures.
Yeah.
I get what the message is. I do not on paintings. For whatever reason, the 2D stuff, I don't get it.
Yeah.
So I'm looking what the guy did, and to me, all I see is lines. I cannot understand what the artist was saying.
Yeah.
It's a thing. And so, but on sculpture, I do, because it's 3D. So it's the same thing. Imagine if you're looking at Picasso's and you know what he meant.
Yeah.
Right. That's how the ideas are. It's like I see patterns and I'm like, yeah, you know.
Cool.
I mean, it's not, it's like, but you wouldn't describe a painting. I mean, you can, but.
Well, we've got something we'll probably build on at some point with.
The Mind Palace would be cool.
With that, and I think there's something there too. We can touch on the some of the wave frequency stuff that we had talked about today.
The oscillations.
In some of the oscillation stuff, some of the space between, and we can build a pretty cool bordering on the woo episode.
We can do one on the Mind Palace anyway, because I would like to explain in detail how I created it.
Yeah. Definitely.
Did we podcast on that?
I don't think we have. I think
Okay,
you had talked about it when you used to do Coaches Week. I think we had talked about it then.
We definitely need to do an episode on the Mind Palace. I'll explain how
I think we've touched on it, but I don't know that we went into it.
Because there's a lot of stuff people don't understand. Is the texture of the wood on the door.
Yeah.
Stuff like that,
Yeah. So, all right, everybody, that's got us wrapped up for today. Everything at strongfit.com in the online classroom there. You've got one-on-one coaching with Julien. You have Richard's online programs. You'll have the functional integration training template and all the other good stuff. strongfitequipment.com and .eu, sandbags, apparel, all the good shit. Should be some new apparel coming out in the next couple months, I think, hopefully. We've also got, what else are we selling? Manta Fitness. I have been sleeping on you guys. I forgot lately, because I got this face every time I do it. Manta Fitness sells all the sandbags and apparel in Australia and New Zealand. Whew. What else we got?
Don't know.
No? If you want to send us stuff, let's talk shirts, right?
If you send us shirts, we'll wear them during the podcast.
Only because I like shirts, and I'm realizing when I have to edit all the podcasts, you know what I notice most? First off, I only own T-shirts, mostly. Secondly, I only own, 6.
Do we need sweatshirts or T-shirts? Let me put it this way:
what size is Richard and what size are you first?
XL, double XL, all depends.
Richard's not a 2XL.
So XL.
I'm a 2XL.
Oh yeah, so XL. That's American. Europe is not the same.
It will be.
XL. So if you send us a sweatshirt, you increase your chances of it being worn on the podcast.
Not for me because of a sweat issue.
Yeah, exactly. He likes T-shirts, but.
But you're a large? Are you a large?
Extra large.
You sure? You trying to be thick or what?
I'm 105 kilos. I'm 230.
So we have Richard and Julien are both
I'm 230.
Richard and you are both
right now.
Both extra larges.
If I like your T-shirt, it'll go right here.
And I'm a 2XL. Right. And if it's a sweater, it's a 3.
Yeah.
2.
But if it's a really cool sweater, it goes right here.
All right. So that's our pitch. If you want us to wear your stuff, I need some new T-shirts.
Send
I
them.
don't like shopping in the Dutch stores. The men are tall, but they are not
I will wear the
bulky.
T-shirt that you send me when we train, when we live stream it, and we train.
Oh, that was another point. Someone asked the question. I'm working on the live stream for training. We should have Wi-Fi set up next week?
No, it didn't show up.
Oh, okay. Well, next week then, hopefully. But when Wi-Fi gets set up
Why
next
would
week,
you show up when you said you wouldn't?
next week out there, we're going to. I'm going to get everything set up so we can live stream for the members, and that way we can have some training sessions and talk some shit back and forth. Should be a lot of fun. Keep your eyes peeled again for on the YouTube channel for if you like documentaries like the stuff we did with Yaya. There should be more stuff like that hitting in the next few weeks as well. So look forward to hearing from you guys, and we'll see you next week. Thanks for listening.